So, what is your strongest memory of 9/11?
Well, I was supposed to go on a business trip on September 11th that year, and our plane left at 6 a.m. in the morning from San Francisco, going to Kansas by way of Denver. So I was on a plane in the air at 6 a.m. and they were actually serving breakfast. The stewardesses were in the aisles, and most of the people were sleeping, but I wasn't. I was getting ready for my meeting, and noticed one of the stewardesses ran from the back of the plane to the front of the plane, and then back again. Talked to her counterpart, and most people were sleeping, didn't notice this, and then I noticed our plane was making a very big turn around in direction, and then the pilot got on the plane and said that we were going to be landing in Reno, that we would have to leave all of our luggage on the plane and we'd have to get off as soon as we could. Um, so it was pretty scary. We weren't sure what was going on. When we landed in Reno, they had us get off the plane rapidly, and we're in the concourse at the Reno airport, and there was a TV in one of the bars there on the concourse. So I sat down, and at that point in time, the first tower had collapsed, and they were not sure what was going on. I think the plane had news of the plane that had crashed into D.C. And I was watching the news. They had the live cameras showed the second tower collapsing. So it was pretty intense. There was no way to make any sort of transportation arrangements out of Reno. Everything was booked. Of course, all the airports were closed down. So luckily, my father was working in Truckee, which is probably about 40 minutes away from Reno, and he was able to come and get me. Other folks that were at the meeting some of them had already arrived in Kansas City, and had to. Some of the people had rented cars ahead of all of this, and they all had to make their way back to home by carpooling back because there was no transportation. Trains were completely booked. Of course, the airlines were shut down. So I went to my parents' house in Truckee, and then they were able to drive me back to my house